Hello to all the emergency responders, policymakers, and mental health professionals attending the Transform 911 Blueprint Launch. As a proud alum of the U of C, it's a pleasure to share a few words with you, even if you're all in New Orleans and not Hyde Park. I'd like to recognize the fantastic Mayor of New Orleans, LaToya Cantrell, for hosting this launch in your wonderful city, and of course the Mayor of Tucson, Regina Romero, who I hear has brought her entire public safety cabinet to attend the launch event. So important. I'd also like to acknowledge some of the great emergency response leaders. Tyrell Morris from Orleans Parish, Karima Holmes from D.C., and Laura Euland from Kent County, Washington, as well as NASNA President Budge Courier and NAACP Vice President Portia Roddick-White. And thank you to Rebecca Newstetter, Elena Beverly, and everyone involved with Transform 911 for your commitment to making our 911 response systems more effective. Over the past year, your group has brought together over 100 first responders, experts, community advocates to craft this blueprint and develop solutions to make sure that our emergency response system efficiently protects community health and safety. As co-chair of the Congressional Next Gen 911 Caucus, I know how important your work is because, as you know, there are actually more than 240 million 911 calls in this country every year. Think about it. 240 million calls from people dealing with medical emergencies, or because someone's breaking into their home, or because they're stuck in the snow in their snowmobile and it's broken down. Okay, I know you don't have that problem in Louisiana, but we do in Minnesota. As a former prosecutor, I know how important it is for our telecommunicators, law enforcement officers, and public safety leaders to be able to communicate seamlessly during times of crisis. We know these calls can be life or death. On August 1st, 2007, the I-35W bridge collapsed into the Mississippi River, killing 13 people and injuring many more. As I said that day, our bridge should not just fall down in the middle of America, but it did. In the first 2 hours after the bridge fell down, the Minneapolis Emergency Communications Center received and processed over 500 calls, 51 of which came directly from the scene. That is right when it happened. 77 men and women took those calls. There were dozens of cars and trucks submerged in the water. And while 13 dying was horrific, so many more could have died, except that those first responders got immediately to the scene. Their coordinated response got people to safety. That's what's possible with seamless 911 infrastructure. But recently it's become clear that our systems need an update. That's why I introduced the Next Generation 911 Act. Our legislation includes $10 billion in funding to deploy upgraded 911 systems in every community across the country. Since we know that telecommunicators are vital to public safety, it's important that their job classification reflects the life-saving work that you do perform every day. That's why, along with my co-chair, Senator Richard Burr from North Carolina, we introduced a bipartisan bill to recognize the vital role that 911 professionals play in protecting our communities. Our 911 Saves Act changes the classification from clerical workers to protective service workers, alongside law enforcement personnel and firefighters. When you think about just how many lives are saved by 911 professionals every day, it's clear that this change is well-deserved, and with more and more natural disasters, whether it's floods, whether it's tornadoes, whether it's forest fires, it's more needed to recognize the job classification than ever. So know that I'm laser-focused on making sure that our 911 systems are as effective as possible, and that our emergency responders have the 911 technology and infrastructure they need to help save lives. You all know that a little bit about that in New Orleans. A lot about that. I think that was also a wake-up call for all of America. Well, I want you to know that you have people that have your backs. I'm glad to be your partner in Washington, fighting for a 21st century emergency response system. Enjoy the rest of today's launch. You deserve it.